Welcome to part 2 of this crochet bunny tutorial. If you haven't already watched part 1, then make sure to go do that, but otherwise let's get straight into it. So now we're going to make the bunny's ears. So you're going to begin by doing 6 single crochets into the magic ring. And now for round 2, we are going to do 6 increases, which will take us up to 12 stitches. Now for round 3, we're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase times by 4, which will take us up to 16 stitches. Then for round 4, we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase times by 4. Now we're going to single crochet for 2 rounds. So for rounds 5 to 6, we're just going to single crochet around. Then for round 7, we're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease times by 4, which will take us down to 16 stitches. And then for round 8, we are just going to single crochet around. Now for round 9, you are going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease times by 4. Then from rounds 10 to 11, we are just going to single crochet round. So we're going to be single crocheting for 2 rounds. Now for round 12, you're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease times by 2, and this will take us down to 10 stitches. Now, once again, we are going to single crochet for 2 rounds. So from rounds 13 to 14, we'll just be single crocheting around. Now for round 15, we're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease times by 2. And then for the final round, we will just do 2 single crochets and a decrease times by 2, which will take us down to 6 stitches. So now that we have done the final round, we will need to leave a bit of a tail for sewing. So cut that off, and we will finish off by pulling through. So now you will need to go ahead and make one more ear so that we have 2 ears in total. So go ahead and make another ear exactly like this. So once we have our 2 ears, we're going to put those aside and we're going to move on to the sewing and embroidery. So first of all, we are going to grab our head and we're going to grab some pink yarn so we can embroider the nose. You may use thin yarn if you like, but I'm using my normal chunky yarn. And you're going to also grab your yarn needle. And we are basically going to be embroidering a T shape right in the middle between the 2 eyes. So find the middle point between the 2 eyes, and that's where you want the line for the T to be. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the point in the middle, 1 line below. And then you are going to bring that yarn up 1 row. So once you've made that line in the middle, we're just going to bring our yarn to the same round as where the eyes is, and we're going to bring it 2 stitches away from the line in the middle. And now we are going to bring it over the top of the line in the middle. So we're making a T shape and we're going to go over the top part of the T twice. So that's the first one, and I'm just going to go back over that and then I'll bring it back to the original point. So this is what it looks like once we have done the T shape. So 2 lines at the top and 1 line at the bottom. And we are just going to cut off and tie together these 2 pink tails. So now we are going to sew the head to the body. So we're going to be sewing these 2 together. They both have 12 stitches, so we'll basically just be going into 1 stitch from the head, then 1 stitch from the body, and then repeat that process. So we're going to put our tail from the head into the yarn needle. And we're going to find the matching point for where the face lines up with the front of the body. And we are going to go into a stitch from the body and go across 1. And then we're going to go back into a stitch from the head and go across 1. then into the body and across one. Check that the face is still lining up at the front, and then into the body, across one, into the head, across one, and we'll keep following that process all the way around. And once you are happy with how the head is sewn on, you can just bring the tail to a random point in the body and cut it off. And now we're going to sew the arms onto the body. So I've just added a little bit of stuffing to each arm, and we're going to be sewing the arms on between the round where we have attached the head and the body on either side. So we're going to grab our first arm, and we're going to go into the side of the body. So starting over here, go across a few stitches and pull through. And then we're going to go into the other side of the arm. And then we're going to go into the body. And then into the arm. And we're just going to do that multiple times until we are happy with how it's sewed on. Once we are satisfied with how it is sewn on, we can bring the tail to the back, and we will tie it to the other tail from the other arm in a moment. So this is how the first arm looks. And now we're going to do the exact same thing for the second arm. So grab your other arm, and we're just gonna go ahead and sew that arm on also. Now I'm just tying the two tails together at the back of the body, and then I'll cut them off and tuck them in. So this is what the bunny currently looks like without any ears or anything. So now we're going to sew on the ears. So for the ears, you're really going to want to make sure that your positioning is right, because if it's not right, then the bucket hat won't fit properly. But you can make adjustments when making the bucket hat. It will just be more difficult. So we're going to find the center point here, and we're going to find it at the back of the head. So it's about here at the back of the head. So I found where it's the middle of the nose at the back of the head. So this is the center point. And we're going to go down 5 rows. So this is the first round. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we want to sew on the ears in between rounds 5 and 6. So currently my needle is in between rounds 5 and 6 at the middle. And I'm going to want my ears to be 6 stitches apart. So this ear will be 3 stitches to the right of the yarn needle, so here, and my other ear will be 3 stitches to the left of the yarn needle. So make sure that you get that positioning right, because otherwise the bucket hat will be a lot harder to make. So I've just stuck my crochet hook in there for a second, just so I know that that is the point. So it's there. So now we're going to count 3 stitches to the right. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put my needle after the 3rd stitch. I can take my crochet hook out now. Now we're going to go across 2 or 3 stitches from that point. So we'll pull through. So when you sew the ear on, really make sure that you stick to that positioning. So we're just going to go into the top of the ear. And then we'll go across the head, and we'll keep going in and out of the ear until we are happy with how it is sewn on. And we want to make sure to go into the bottom of the ear too, like the other side of the top of the ear, sorry. So once we are happy with that, we can bring the tail to the back at the middle of the head, and we can tie it together with the other tail later. So now to find the positioning for the other ear, we are going to count 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. And we're going to put our yarn needle in over here. And that is going to be where our other ear starts. So right here. And now we're going to grab our other ear. And I'm just going to put the yarn tail into the yarn needle where it is right now. And we'll bring that across 2 to 3 stitches. And we are just going to sew the other ear on as we did with the first ear. Once we are happy with that, we are just bringing the 2 tails to the back and tying them off. So this is what the bunny looks like currently, but right now we are going to get into making the removable bucket hat. So we're just going to pop the bunny aside for a moment. And we're going to grab whatever color you would like to make your bucket hat with. And to start off, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Now for round 2, we are going to do 6 increases. Then for round 3, we are going to do single crochet increase times by 6. Then for round 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets and an increase times by 6. On the following rounds, I would recommend crocheting with a slightly looser tension than usual if you do know how to do this. It's still fine if you crochet with your usual tension, but it will just make it a little bit looser when you are trying to put it over the ears. For round 5, we'll be doing 3 single crochets and an increase times by 6. So this round is going to be slightly more complicated, so I'm going to walk you through it. So we're going to begin by doing 2 single crochets and an increase. Now we are going to chain 10. So this is how we're going to make the holes for the bunny's ears. So chain 10. And now we are going to skip 4 stitches. So if you look closely, you can count 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you're going to want to go into the 5th stitch. And we're going to single crochet into that. So you've skipped 4 and you've changed 10, and now you've done 1 single crochet. And now we are going to do 4 single crochets and an increase times by 3. But the single crochet you just did is included in that. So you only need to do 3 more single crochets right now before you do the increase. And then you can do another 2 4 single crochets and increase. Now we are going to once again chain 10. And we are going to skip 4 stitches again. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go into the 5th stitch and single crochet into that stitch. And now we're going to single crochet 3 more times. So good job, you have now made the holes for the ears. We are going to go ahead and put this on the bunny's head as is. So what you are going to need to do is the stitch marker will be at the back of the bunny's head. And then we are going to put the ears through the holes. It might take a little bit of maneuvering to squish them through. So there's one ear through the first hole. And now we just need to do the other one. So now both of the ears are through the holes in the hat, which is not looking like much of a hat right now. So I've just zoomed out with my camera a little bit so you can see it better. And for the next round, we are going to single crochet around the whole hat. So basically when we get to this part where we have this chain on this side, we're going to follow round, so we're single crocheting around the hat and we go round the chain, and then we continue round to the front, single crochet around here, and then we lift up the other ear and single crochet around the chain. So we're just going to go ahead and single crochet round. So once you've done that round, then for the next round, you're going to do 5 single crochets, then decrease single crochet times by 3, which will be around where we have the ear hole, then 20 single crochets, then decrease single crochet times 3 once again, and then 3 single crochets to finish off. If you're finding right now that you think that your ear holes are not in the right spot, then you may need to go back to round 6 and make some adjustments with the amount of single crochets you're doing at the back. Maybe you need to have the skip 4 and the chain 10 a little bit earlier if you feel as if your ears are closer to the back of the head, or if you feel like you've sewn your ears onto the wrong round, then maybe you need to do the chain 10 and skip 4 in a later round. But yeah, let's go ahead and do round 8. Now for the second last round, we're going to do 7 single crochets and an increase times by 5. So this is what it looks like right now. So it looks a bit more like a swimming cap than a hat, but that is okay because we're gonna add another round. So for the final round, we are just going to single crochet all the way around. So once you've made it to the end of that round, we're gonna leave a bit of a tail because we need to fasten off properly. And then we're going to finish off. So to fasten off properly, we're going to go from the outside in to not this stitch, but the stitch after that. So the second stitch along, we're going to go from the outside in to that. And then we are going to go from the outside in to where our tail just was, but into the back loop only. So our tail was just in here. We're going to go into the back loop only of that. And that is how we fasten off properly, just like that. And now we're going to weave that tail in. So it's going to go up a stitch and then up another stitch and across a stitch. Just going to do that multiple times. And then once we are happy with that, we can just cut that off. And this is what the completed bunny looks like. If you'd like to, you can tie a bow around his neck, but otherwise that is the completed bunny. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed making your bunny. If you did, then feel free to leave a comment below or subscribe for other tutorials. If you'd like the written pattern for this little guy, then the link will be in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!